Between Shein selling childlike sex dolls and sex robot companies selling robots with a resistance or fight back mode, which is basically supposed to imitate an assault, I am just wondering, why is all of this even allowed? Because as far as I know, we do not live in a society, in a political structure where everything goes. Why am I not allowed to smoke crack? Because I'm harming myself and I will potentially be harming others, and it brings destruction into our society. Then why are these things still legal? Why is porn even still legal if it has been proven time and time again that it leads to nothing but destruction? It is not only harming the consumer, but everyone around them. It is harming our youth, it is poisoning our youth. It is way too easily accessible, and these things only get worse with time. Because if you consume this type of content, eventually you no longer get the same rush that you got the first time. And so where that leads us is the consumer wanting more and more explicit and disturbing content. And while usually I would say the market follows the consumer, not the other way around, it doesn't work when the consumer is a sick and addicted person with no morals. That is a point where the government has to step in and make some changes and make restrictions. This is a path that will just get darker and darker, lower and lower. It started with all of these things like OF and adult content, which when I even spoke out against it a year ago, I was labeled as prude, and that type of content was labeled as empowering. This is the path that it leads us down. This is inevitably the path that we will go down. There are all the science fanatics that will allow themselves to be injected with something that they don't even know what it is, and if you ask questions, they will call you a tinfoil hat, a crazy, a science denier. But then when science is telling you factually that this doesn't bring any good to our society, that it is harmful to you, all of a sudden you just quiet, nothing. Especially people claiming to want to protect women, to want to stand for women and children, but also, no, it's not tied to a specific group. Everyone should be outraged about it because it's also poisoning men. If you don't allow people to use and sell drugs, for example, because it is harmful to our society, then the question is, I guess, why do we allow all of this to happen? And to anyone saying these robots aren't harming real people, they are. As a woman, I don't want there to be robots with a resistance or fight mode, because it's normalizing these types of fantasies, this type of behavior. It is extremely degrading and dehumanizing for those things to exist. I don't think I even have to address the childlike dolls. I feel like that, I mean, everything should speak for itself, but apparently it doesn't. There need to be restrictions. If it were up to me, once I become dictator of the world, all of it will be forbidden. But obviously I understand we don't live by my ideas, my morals and my standards, which is fine. I choose to live in a country and certain things are allowed, and I do think it's important for people to have their freedom to live their life how they want. But this is way beyond that. This is just way beyond that.